Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma and with me is Saira Mujtaba bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds telephonic conversations with his Norwegian counterpart to discuss various bilateral issues. India-China troops to complete disengagement at PP-15 in Gogra Hot Springs by Monday. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar to visit the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia tomorrow to co-chair inaugural ministerial meeting of Committee on Political, Security, Social and Cultural Cooperation. Commerce and Industry Minister of India Piyush Goyal reaffirms India's commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe asks officials to resolve Indian projects stuck in the country. And Prince Charles III to be proclaimed king at St. James's Palace on Saturday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a telephonic conversation with his Norwegian counterpart H.E. Jonas Gahr Støre on Friday. According to the press statement, both the leaders have discussed bilateral and international issues of mutual interest, including initiatives to mobilize climate finance for renewable energy projects in developing countries. PM Modi also emphasized the importance of ensuring equitable, timely and adequate climate finance for the developing world and appreciated H.E. Store's commitment to his cause. The two leaders reviewed various ongoing bilateral cooperation initiatives, including under the Task Force on Blue Economy. They also expressed satisfaction at the increasing India-Norway collaboration in areas like green hydrogen, shipping, science and technology, and education.
India today said with the resolution of the standoff at Gogra Hot Springs PP-15, India and China mutually agreed to take the talks forward. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said both the sides also agreed to resolve the remaining issues along the LAC and restore peace and tranquility in India-China border areas. The 16th round of talks between the core commanders of India and China was held at Chushul-Moldo meeting point on 17th of July this year. Mr. Bagchi said, since then, the two sides had maintained regular contact to build on the progress achieved during the talks to resolve the relevant issues along the LAC in the western sector of India-China border areas. As a result, both the sides have now agreed on disengagement in the area of Gogra Hot Springs PP-15. Mr. Bagchi said as per the agreement, the disengagement process in this area started yesterday morning and will be completed by the 12th of this month. He said the two sides have agreed to cease forward deployments in this area in a phased, coordinated and verified manner, resulting in the return of the troops of both the sides to their respective areas.
External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar will pay an official visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia starting tomorrow. This will be his first visit to the kingdom as the External Affairs Minister of India. During his 3 days visit, he will co-chair the inaugural ministerial meeting of the Committee on Political, Security, Social and Cultural Cooperation PSSC with the Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud. The two ministers will undertake a comprehensive review of the entire bilateral relationship. Dr. Jaishankar during his visit will also meet other Saudi dignitaries as well as the Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council, Dr. Naif Falah Mubarak Al-Hajraf. Both the sides will review the bilateral relations and discuss ways to enhance them. EAM will also interact with the Indian community in Saudi Arabia.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has reaffirmed India's commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. The minister today attended the first in-person ministerial meeting of the India-Pacific Economic Forum IPEF in Los Angeles. The minister added that India will take decisions on different aspects of the frameworks of IPEF based on its national interest. Mr. Goyal met U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo on the sidelines of the IPEF ministerial meeting and discussed further deepening of India-U.S. trade. He said that both the US and India believe in the need to have self-reliance as a core philosophy and have resilient supply chains between trusted partners who believe in transparent economies and rules-based trading systems. He added that an India-US Trade Policy Forum would soon be held, during which the two countries will come up with more deliverables and newer areas of engagements. Discussing about digital economy, the minister said that India is looking to have very contemporary and modern laws in digital space while maintaining high levels of data privacy, particularly of the citizens' personal data.
Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, called on President Draupadi Murmu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan today. Welcoming Ms. Georgieva to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the President said that the world is passing through the third year of the COVID pandemic. She noted that significant assistance has been provided to many low-income countries by multilateral institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank. She said that the IMF has to play an important role in maintaining the stability of the international monetary system. The President said that today India is one of the fastest growing major economies of the world. India's startup ecosystem ranks high in the world.
Nepalese Foreign Secretary Bharat Raj Paudiyal will pay an official visit to India from the 13th to the 14th of September. The Foreign Secretaries will hold discussions on bilateral issues covering the entire range of multifaceted cooperation between India and Nepal. They will review the progress on various initiatives and announcements made during the recent high-level visit of Nepal Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba to India in April and Prime Minister Modi's visit to Nepal in May this year.
Great Britain's King Charles III is addressing the nation following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Meanwhile, the national mourning will continue until the state funeral for the monarch, with the longest reign of 7 decades. According to Buckingham Palace, a week-long period of mourning post the state funeral is to be observed by the members of the royal family and the household. The date of the funeral is yet to be confirmed and is expected in about 10 days' time. The state funeral will take place as per Operation London Bridge, which is the name of the funeral planned for Queen Elizabeth II. There will be a remembrance service at St. Paul's, attended by the Prime Minister and other senior ministers. It will be open to the public, and 2,000 tickets were released on a first-come, first-served basis. Charles will be officially proclaimed the king at the Accession Council on Saturday late evening in a ceremony. After the meeting, the principal proclamation announcing Charles as the sovereign will be read on Saturday from the balcony overlooking Friary Court at St. James's Palace, central London.
In today's Hotspot section, we have a discussion on Queen Elizabeth II, from princess to longest-serving monarch.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family.
Britain's longest-serving monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, dies at the age of 96. The royal family informed that Queen Elizabeth died peacefully in Scotland on Thursday after a long-drawn battle with health problems since last year. Newly elected United Kingdom Prime Minister Liz Truss paid solemn tribute to the monarch, describing the Queen as the rock on which modern Britain was built.
Queen Elizabeth II provided us with the stability and the strength that we needed. She was the very spirit of Great Britain, and that spirit will endure. Her life of service stretched beyond most of our living memories. In return, she was loved and admired by the people in the United Kingdom and all around the world. She has been a personal inspiration to me and to many Britons. Her devotion to duty is an example to us all. Earlier this week, at 96, she remained determined to carry out her duties as she appointed me as her 15th Prime Minister. It is a day of great loss, but Queen Elizabeth II leaves a great legacy.
After the news of Queen Elizabeth II's demise, tributes started pouring in from various political leaders, country heads, and also the United Nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled Queen Elizabeth's death, calling the Queen a stalwart of our times. PM Modi hailed her inspiring leadership to her nation and people and said that she personified dignity and decency in public life. PM Modi also recalled their memorable meetings during his visits to Britain in 2015 and 2018. PM Modi said in a tweet that I will never forget her warmth and kindness. During one of the meetings, she showed me the handkerchief Mahatma Gandhi gifted her on her wedding. I will always cherish that gesture. In the wake of Queen Elizabeth's demise, the Indian government announced one day of state mourning on September 11 as a mark of respect on the passing away of Queen Elizabeth. The Queen's death triggers what is known in Britain's royal circles as Operation London Bridge, the formal preparations and protocol that kicks in following the death of the monarch. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office Global Response Centre is responsible for informing governments outside the UK where she is head of state, followed by other Commonwealth nations. The day of her death is referred as D-Day. With each subsequent day, a countdown is run until the funeral expected 10 days after death. It is expected that Charles will be officially proclaimed king on Saturday. This will happen at St. James Palace in London, in front of a ceremonial body known as Essexian Council, made up of members of the Privy Council, which includes a group of senior members of Parliament, past and present, and peers, as well as some senior civil servants, Commonwealth High Commissioners, and the Lord Mayor of London. At her death, Queen Elizabeth was head of the state, not just of United Kingdom, but 14 other former British colonies, including countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau joined world leaders offering condolences to British royal family.
She was one of my favorite people in the world, and I will miss her so. It is with the deepest of sorrow of the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. She was our Queen for almost half of Canada's existence, and she had an obvious, deep, and abiding love and affection for Canadians. She served us all with strength and wisdom for 70 years.
Elizabeth was born as Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor on April 21, 1926 in London, oldest daughter of King George V and Elizabeth Boyce-Lyon. During her 20s, Elizabeth represented her father around the world after he lost the battle against cancer. King George V died on February 6, 1952 while she was in Kenya, and she was pronounced queen on the very same day. She was officially crowned in Westminster Abbey on 1953. From the outset, her reign was thus characterized by discipline and a sense of duty. Queen Elizabeth had not received proper education, but she was a trained auto mechanic and truck driver and served in the Auxiliary Territorial Army during the Second World War. For a long time, she was the only member of the royal family to have served in the military. On November 20, 1947, Queen Elizabeth married Prince Philip Mountbatten, a scion of Greek and Danish royal families who became a Royal Navy officer and was granted the title of Duke of Edinburgh shortly before the marriage took place. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were together for 73 years until Prince Philip's death last year. In 1953, Queen Elizabeth swore to dedicate her life to the British people. It was an oath she took seriously.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family.
The Queen would have an average of 500 official appointments in a given year. This made her the most well-travelled head of state in history, with her undertaking hundreds of royal visits around the world. Her first state visit to India was in 1961 when she accompanied her husband, the late Prince Philip, toured Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata and visited the Taj Mahal in Agra. She also paid tribute to Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat in New Delhi. The royal couple was in India as guest of honor at the Republic Day parade on the invitation of the then President, Dr. Rajendra Prasad.
To the Queen and Prince Philip, the government and people of India stretched out the hand of welcome. President Prasad, Premier Nehru and Vice President Krishnan were at the airport to meet them. To arrive in India for the first time is an unforgettable experience for anyone in any age. How much more so for the Queen, for whom the magic of air travel in a few hours translated the January gloom of London into the tropical brilliance of New Delhi. Dr. Prasad sincerely spoke for the whole Republic of India in bidding the royal visitors a most warm welcome. The Vice President, as well as Mr. Nehru and his sister, added his greeting.
Dressed in a signature fur coat and hat, the Queen addressed a massive crowd at jam-packed Delhi's Ramlila ground. In one of her address, Queen Elizabeth said that the warmth and hospitality of Indian people and the richness and diversity of India itself have been an inspiration to all of us. Her final visit to India was to mark the 50th anniversary celebrations of India's independence, and for the first time she made a reference to difficult episodes of colonial history. Queen Elizabeth in her statement said, "It is no secret that there have been some difficult episodes in our past. Jallianwala Bagh is a distressing example." Over the years, the Queen has also hosted 3 Indian presidents, Dr. Radhakrishnan in 1963, R. Venkatraman in 1990 and Pratibha Patil in 2009. In 2009's State Bouquet address for President Patil at Buckingham Palace, Queen Elizabeth said that Britain and India have a long shared history which today is a source of great strength in building a new partnership fit for this new country. Queen Elizabeth said that nearly 2 million of our own citizens are tied by descent and enduring family links to India. They represent one of the United Kingdom's most dynamic and successful communities.
Relations between our two countries are built on strong and deep foundations and are set fair for the 21st century. The United Kingdom is proud to have more than 30,000 Indian students in our universities every year. In the future, we hope that many more British students will go to study in Indian universities, making this a genuinely two-way exchange of learning. Your visit will also celebrate the growing and dynamic economic relationship between our two countries. We look forward to the expansion of this in many spheres, from manufacturing to filmmaking, from joint research to the development of cutting-edge green technologies.
An important component of the Queen's relationship with India was a sizable and vibrant Indian diaspora in the UK. Her engagement with this community has encompassed some memorable moments, such as her first visits to both a Hindu and a Sikh temple in Britain, which took place to her Golden Jubilee in 2002. 10 years later, during her Diamond Jubilee, she visited a Hindu school in North London. The British Indian community threw themselves into last Jubilee celebrations, lighting beacons, holding street parties and planting trees. The Queen has impressed India and Indians with her visits and engagement with her wondrous country and its people. Queen Elizabeth II reigned for more than 70 years, and the majority of people have never known anyone else on the throne. During her reign, Queen Elizabeth saw 15 Prime Ministers serve Britain, from Winston Churchill in 1952 to Liz Truss being the latest one in 2022. For Queen Elizabeth, since becoming monarch in 1952, her image has been part of everyday life, emblazoned across most of the government imagery, from coins to passports. After her death, the position of the head of Commonwealth will not automatically pass on to the Queen's successor, but it is likely to be chosen collectively by the heads of government. Many nations may choose to become republic with their own head of state. Following the Queen's death and the proclamation of a new king, the UK will see lots of changes, not least to everyday items, and many images which will revolve around the Queen would need to be updated to make reference to a king being on the throne. In the UK, all cash notes and coins depict the face of the Queen, but now it is expected that following her death, new coins and cash will be created with the face of the king. As the authorities had been planning for quite some time, the new cash will be produced and distributed into general circulation, with the old money gradually being phased out. New passports issued will be tweaked to reflect the male pronouns of the new king. Along with a slight change in Britain's national anthem, the line "Lord Save the Queen" will be exchanged with "Lord Save the King." Many believe it was Queen Elizabeth's avoidance of any political controversy as a head of state and her refusal to bend the monarchy to the winds of fashion that enabled Elizabeth to trump in the role that would earn her the love and respect of so many as the head of the nation. With time, Queen Elizabeth understood that not everything in national life had to have an explicit purpose, that for a conservative nation in the throes of near ceaseless change, the continuity she represented in person and in office had a value beyond measure. Queen Elizabeth understood that the rhythm of monarchy, the traditions and ceremonies, the births and the weddings and the deaths, provided a comfort to those sometimes bewildered by the uprooting of the past, and served as a reminder that the drumbeat of life was shared across class, age and circumstance. The longest-serving British monarch, Queen Elizabeth, had believed in the great unwritten rule of modern-day Britain monarchy. This is where, unprotected by tradition and unprepared by precedent, Queen Elizabeth drove her reign alone.
For more than 70 years, I have been lucky to meet and to know many of the world's great leaders. And I have perhaps come to understand a little about what made them special. It has sometimes been observed that what leaders do for their people today is government and politics. But what they do for the people of tomorrow, that is statesmanship.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has asked officials to resolve obstacles with regard to Indian projects. Mr. President has not specified any of the obstacles. As per a news agency, Mr. Wickremesinghe on chairing a discussion on development projects involving Indian investment. India has put forward support of billions of dollars to Sri Lanka as the country is reeling under a major economic crisis for a long time. There are several projects in Sri Lanka that are run with the support of Indian investments under the development cooperation. These include housing, education, infrastructure, health and culture.
Volker Turk of Austria has been appointed as the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres appointed Turk following approval by the General Assembly. The new High Commissioner is currently coordinating global policy work as an Under-Secretary-General in the UN's Executive Office. Previously, he was the Assistant High Commissioner for Protection at UN Refugees, UNHCR, in Geneva, where he played a key role in the development of the landmark Global Compact on Refugees. Turk will succeed Michelle Bachelet of Chile.
Continuing with her deployment in the Gulf of Guinea, Indian naval ship Tarkash arrived at Port Lagos in Nigeria. Officials of the Nigerian Navy, the High Commission of India and children of the Indian Language School welcomed the ship. During her port call, the ship will conduct professional interactions with the Nigerian Navy to enhance interoperability and share best practices between the navies. In addition, she will also participate in port fixtures and social engagements. The ship will also be open to visitors to provide an opportunity to the Indian diaspora and locals to interact with the crew.
North Korea has passed a law allowing itself to carry out a preventive nuclear strike. According to Korean Central News Agency, Kim Jong-un said that the status of the country as a nuclear weapon state has become irreversible with the newly enacted law. The law specifically states that North Korea can use nuclear weapons in case of a nuclear or non-nuclear attack by hostile forces on the state leadership and the command organization of the state's nuclear forces, among other situations. Nuclear talks and diplomacy between Washington and Pyongyang have been derailed since 2019 over sanctions relief and what Pyongyang would be willing to give up in return.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the World Dairy Summit on the 12th of September in Noida at India Expo Centre and Mart. India is organizing the summit after almost a 48-year gap, bringing together approximately 1,500 participants from all over the world, including CEOs and employees of dairy processing companies, dairy farmers and other stakeholders. Under Prime Minister Modi's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, India is committed to sustaining its growth in milk production and milk processing in the coming decades. Remembering the father of White Revolution, Dr. Verghese Kurian, on his death anniversary today, it must be pointed out that India currently is the largest milk producer in the world, contributing 21% of the total global milk production.
And now, a report from the business world.
Sensex rose by 105 points, 0.18%. It closed at 59,793. Nifty was also up by 35 points, 0.19% to end at 17,833. At the global stock markets, Asian share markets logged gains following overnight gains in the US share markets. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index jumped 2.7%. Singapore Straits Times ended 0.9% up, and China's Shanghai Composite Index climbed 0.8%. Japan's Nikkei 225 gained 0.5%, while trade did not take place in South Korea's Kospi. European shares were up in intraday trade. Global crude oil prices rose, supported by supply cuts, although crude was set for a second weekly decline as aggressive interest rate hikes and China's COVID-19 curbs weighed on the demand outlook. Brent crude was trading at $90.80 a barrel. And in the foreign exchange market, the rupee appreciated by 13 paise against the US dollar. The domestic currency closed at 79 rupees and 58 paise against the American unit. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, All India Radio.
Tokyo Olympic gold medalist javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra has achieved yet another historic feat as he became the first Indian to win the prestigious Zurich Diamond League Final 2022 in Switzerland. Neeraj Chopra's second throw, measuring 88.44 meters, won him the Diamond League trophy last night. Prime Minister Modi has congratulated Neeraj Chopra for scripting history yet again by becoming the first Indian to win the prestigious Diamond League trophy. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he has demonstrated great dedication and consistency. He said Neeraj Chopra's repeated successes show the great strides Indian athletics is making.
And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post reports that US ramps up aid for Pakistan floods with military airlift.
The Guardian writes Prince Charles III to be proclaimed as king at St. James Palace on Saturday.
The Globe and Mail writes that Canada agrees to resettle Afghans held in UAE facility.
South China Morning Post reports Chinese scientists declare discovery of new moon mineral from lunar rock samples brought back in 2020.
The Financial Times writes that US lawmakers warn Apple on using Chinese group's chips in the new iPhone.
The Wall Street Journal reports Europe holds emergency talks on energy market intervention.
And the Japan Times writes that US launches formal talks with Indo-Pacific countries on the new economic framework. And before we end the bulletin, a quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds telephonic conversations with his Norwegian counterpart to discuss various bilateral issues. India-China troops to complete disengagement at PP-15 in Gogra Hot Springs by Monday. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar to visit the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia tomorrow to co-chair inaugural ministerial meeting of Committee on Political, Security, Social and Cultural Cooperation. Commerce and Industry Minister of India Piyush Goyal reaffirms India's commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe asks officials to resolve Indian projects stuck in the country. And Prince Charles III to be proclaimed king at St. James's Palace on Saturday.
And now before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Tajikistan on their Independence Day.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.